up, guys? I'm back. It's been a while since I talked about nutrition. Really been on a big kick for exercise, so I really wanted to leave you guys with this. Had a recent blog post on what you might not know about macros, and I think you can get a lot out of it. At least I think so, just because there's a lot of misconception around it. So I just want to give you guys what I know and what I've researched on it. Just for starters, I know this is kind of a basic, but hey, you never know. There are three macronutrients: proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. Two of these are essential, which might be a little shocking. I know a lot of people don't talk about it, but actually fats and proteins are essential for us. Carbohydrates are not, although I'll hit on them a little later in the video, but they're still very, very important. They're just not essential, like we can live without carbohydrates. Some basic knowledge. I'm going to start with the two essentials and then go to the carbohydrates. So the first one being protein. Protein is super, super important for growth, structure, maintenance, repairing cells, and also just allowing DNA expression. So that's super, super basic, but that's what protein is as a macro. What it does, it also supports immune activity. Most studies show that eating between 0.5 and 0.8 grams per pound of protein is adequate enough to do all those functions that I just talked about. Oftentimes you see those numbers a lot higher. Usually when we go above 0.8, we don't really see much change or that big of an effect. Little to no effect, actually. So the supplement and muscle building industry typically recommend higher than that, like 1 to 1.25 grams of protein per pound of body weight, but that is way too much, and honestly can have some negative effects. Common sources of protein are meats, like lean cut meats or any kind of meat, seafood, chicken, and then any dairy products, eggs, and then legumes also fall in that category. And then the last thing that I want to hit on for protein is just kind of like a basic understanding so that you know that you're getting enough. So for men, we want 2 palm-sized portions. So take both of our hands. We want all of our protein to equate to the size of both of our palms. And for women, it's just 1. So that's an easy, simple gauge to know whether or not you're getting enough protein in your diet. With fats, there's a lot to unpack, so bear with me, but this is the other macronutrient that is essential and we must consume it. Fat is very dense and high in energy, so that's pretty important to know. Just because everybody talks about, you need carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are good, but we can also use fat as energy. So fat, why it's essential is because it assists with absorption of vitamins. So those vitamins are A, D, E, and K. Fat is also super important for the integrity of our cell membranes, and also when it comes to consuming. It makes food way more palatable and more filling, so it satiates you a little more. There is some compelling research that demonstrates that saturated fats may not actually be unhealthy as it was once thought before. Foods that are naturally high in saturated fats will include like fatty cut meats. So like before I said, the protein, more lean cuts of meat, we want those fatty cuts of meat as well, just because it helps with those transports of vitamins, which is like super, super important. And then skin from the poultry, like the chicken and stuff. And then again, full fat dairy, so you want that whole milk, whole cream, those type of things, butter, and then also coconut oil. You can cook with coconut oil as well. Working off that coconut oil fact, medium chain triglycerides are also found in coconut oil, which have fat burning properties and also are an excellent source of energy. When we're talking about polyunsaturated, specifically oils, it has been found that soybean oil, corn oil, canola oil, and safflower oil are all once been promoted as heart healthy, but they are actually very, very processed and high in omega-6 fatty acids. So omega-6 fatty acids aren't a bad thing, but modern diets are excessively high in omega-6 fatty acids, and like anything else, we don't want to overconsume. And also, the omega-6 fatty acids go rancid very, very easily, so that's another thing to know. But with that being said, polyunsaturated oils shouldn't be used to cook in at all, just because heat causes these oils to oxidize and form harmful compounds that are detrimental to your health. So that's one very important thing to note. When it comes to trans fat, it's man-made, okay? So with that, they're shown to be particularly inflammatory to our bodies and obviously making it unhealthy. They're often found in things like margarine, shortening, and lard is another one. Fats that are good to consume are things like olives. Olive oil is a good thing to cook with. Avocados, nuts, and seeds are all good fats to consume, along with those meats that I talked about earlier. And last but not least are the carbohydrates. Like I said, this macronutrient isn't essential to us, but it helps a lot. So when it comes to carbohydrates, they are our main energy source. So it's good to consume them just from the fact that it can. I'm not saying that it will, it can protect muscle mass, just because, you know, when we're working out or going through high intensity bouts or a lot of stress, our body will consume carbohydrates first, then fats. So as long as we have some carbohydrates, it won't go straight to muscle depletion. So that's one good thing to know about carbohydrates. Like I said, they make an excellent source of fuel, but they are not the body's only potential for fuel. Like I said earlier, fats are also an excellent source of fuel. But like I said, our body will always reach for carbohydrates before it goes to fats. So a little bit of a controversy time, but IIFYM, if it fits your macros concept, right? So it is a good starting place, but it isn't the end all be all. And the reason why I say this is because it's good because it makes you aware of what you're consuming, right? But with that being said, very, very contrary to the popularized belief, is that not all carbohydrates are created equal. So kind of what that means is, you know, all carbohydrates, yes, they are 4 kilocalories per gram, but they affect the body differently. So what I mean by that is, you know, eating something super processed as a carb or something super fat, like, or not really fat, but like fried, super fried or something like that, can have a big change in that carbohydrate. It can affect our endocrine system, our microbiome, so our gut health, which is super important, our metabolism, and everything else, it can vary widely. So it's super important to note that not all carbs are created equal. And then sources of carbohydrates, like I was done for every other macro, fruits, vegetables, grains, anything sugary that can spike insulin are all good sources of carbohydrates. I just want to emphasize again, carbohydrates are not essential, so we do not need them to survive. But like I said, they are the best source of energy, just because it's easy for our body to grab into. So if you're super active, carbohydrates are really good for you. But with that being said, there are good carbs and there are bad carbs, so just keep that in mind. But with that being said, that's all I have for you guys. I hope this was beneficial. I hope you learned something. Thank you for the continued support. Go ahead and smash that like and subscribe button, and I will be talking to you guys again soon. Thanks. Oh yeah. Peace.